Hello, my name is Charmaine Jennings, and this is your chosen lifeline for women. I am your chosen life specialist and practitioner, where I've been called to challenge and change the worth, willpower, and if necessary, the wisdom of women. This episode is dedicated to wisdom, and we're talking about discipline today, but in particularly disciplining children, or even just your loved ones, right? And so this scripture comes from the book of Proverbs. That is where we definitely yield ourselves to when we talk about wisdom. One of the oldest books in the Bible, one of the oldest books is, and the best-selling books is the Bible. And so we want to honor the book of Proverbs. And so this comes from Proverbs 23:13 through the 14, which says, "Do not withhold discipline from a child. If you punish him with a rod, he will not die. Punish him with a rod and save his soul from death." And so this is a scripture that people use a lot to really justify punishing children through corporal punishment and things like that. And that's not what we're promoting. But what we will say is that discipline is a very important thing. And so I like this because it cautions us, right, that we don't want to use anger. We don't want to discipline children out of anger or being cruel or using wrath and anger and things like that, because that's just really showing your child that you're not able to control your emotions. And it's okay for you to be cruel, for you to be mean, just because you're out of control. And so you want to regulate a child's behavior and you're not regulated. That's not what this scripture is saying is okay. But one thing that we want to make sure is that we create boundaries and parameters for our children, not only to keep them safe. It is an act of love, right? When we discipline our children, when we have the boundaries, when we have the protocols and the rules of our home and the expectations. For example, in my house, our children always know you're a professional student. You are expected to go to school and you're expected to perform well. It doesn't mean that you have to get straight A's, but you know what? A C is not acceptable if we know that you're capable of getting better than a C. We hold each of our children to the standard we know of their talents, their gifts, and what's possible for them. But you know, this scripture really speaks to the fact that what is love, right? So love that gives punishment, it really, when you punish your children because they're not being their best selves, they're not operating in their best selves and things like that, it is one of those things where that is an act of love, right? But love that does not punish or hold accountable or set boundaries and parameters, that's not love at all. And so that's essentially what the word is saying. It's saying that discipline your children. When your children are not being their best selves, they're operating in a way that's going to really take their life. Because again, if you accept certain behaviors, have a lack of expectations and things like that, you know what? The world doesn't operate that way. The world is going to have a standard. The world is going to have an expectation. The world is going to have parameters. And if you have taught them that they pretty much get to do what they want whenever they want and they don't have to really respect boundaries and parameters, then do you really love them? Because that's not setting them up for success. And it's definitely setting them up not to operate in respect of others' boundaries. And so these are situations where you get, you know, people who, you know, you're stopped by law enforcement or you get in some type of trouble and you're not even humble, especially if let's say you were speeding and you got stopped, you know, and you just think, you know, you can just talk to law enforcement however you want. It's like, no, you were wrong. You need to own it, and accept whatever consequence that you're going to have because you were speeding. So clearly they have the right to write you a ticket. So something as simple as that, where we're teaching our children to be disciplined, but also to know that with every decision that they make, when it is not the best choice, there is going to be a consequence, and that consequence is meant to discipline you so that you know what respect looks, feels, and sounds like, and moving forward, you can operate in the boundaries that others set and that they set themselves. And so anyway, this is going back to being disciplined and making sure that we set parameters for our children. And love means boundaries. Love means expectations. And love means really being able to communicate those things. And you can set boundaries all day long, but if you don't have a process for how you're going to manage them and monitor them, and hold people accountable for them, that can be a challenge. So this is your Chosen Lifeline. My name is Charmaine Jennings. Book me for a session. Visit chosenlifespecialist.com and like, share, and subscribe. And this was the Chosen Lifeline based on wisdom. And so, yes, until next time.